Hey guys, welcome to Never Skip Brunch. If this is your first time here, my name is Cara, and today we are doing a little design chat to talk all about my office/studio reveal that just went live on the blog, but I wanted to give you a little peek behind the scenes, a little video, and a little insight into the design process so you can know how I styled the space and some of the strategies that I use. Okay, so before we get started, make sure to hit that red subscribe button below so you can stay up to date with all my fun and fresh ideas. So this has been a long time in the making. Like, I think I teased it back in January when I did a post all about office styling tips to freshen up your workspace. I told you that this was coming. It's taken me a while to finish the full design, obviously because I have so much else going on, but also because the space has been kind of messy. So I finally got it cleaned up and perfected the way it's supposed to look, and then it was time to shoot it and finally give you the big reveal. So this space has had a full transformation since 2 years ago when I first revealed it to you guys. Then it was a very fashion-focused cloffice, like closet office situation, because I had like a rack with all the clothes. That was back when I was doing fashion vlogging, which seems forever ago. But now it's a fully equipped DIY studio and the headquarters for Never Skip Brunch. So you've obviously seen bits and pieces of this pegboard wall in all the DIY videos, but time to see the whole room. Okay, so this space uses pops of color to the fullest for a fun but focused vibe. So if you've been around here for really any length of time at all, you know that my first rule to using color in a space is to anchor it with a neutral. For example, the pink curtains have like a white curtain panel to go with it, so there's a neutral in the space, and then the patterns on the back wall have white, have neutrals. The office furniture over here, the desk and the chair, are both white, and so that creates kind of a clean palette so there can be lots of pops of color. And it doesn't look too busy. That's how you get kind of a luxe look with color, is by using a lot of neutrals as well. So probably my second best rule for using color is to add greenery to achieve balance. So greenery and plants have a balancing effect on color. If you think about like nature, where bright fun colors occur, a lot of times it's plants and flowers where they're surrounded by a lot of greenery. So bringing that inside, it creates kind of a more balancing effect, and plants can keep your space feeling alive and feeling fresh. And it helps the color not to feel overly playful, like a kid's room or a kindergarten classroom where there's just too much color everywhere. Plants give it that balancing effect and also give it context. So the pops of color look like they belong there because there's a lot of greenery. So it looks more natural and it looks like you kind of just brought the outdoors inside. So I have some good reveal shots to show you guys in just a second, but I also have a full gallery of like more detailed shots of the room. So you want to go check that out if you want to see like a bunch of photos and see more like zoomed in areas to see exactly what's going on. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the design. So this space is all of what multifunctional should be. From this huge DIY craft table to the pegboard storage behind me, to an office corner complete with a mini podcasting studio, to ample storage everywhere for the shop, so like for products and shipping supplies, other supplies, all kinds of things. So I had a lot of different functions to fit in this space. If you want to get more insight into like how I designed it, I talk a little bit about that in episode number 4, where I sat down with my husband to talk about why it's important to have your own space in your home as a couple, and we both share our process that we went through for designing our space, and I talk about this office and kind of my thought process for creating it. So if you're not already a subscriber, you're gonna wanna tune into this episode. It's episode number 4 of the Make Space podcast. I will link it down below, but you can find it on iTunes. So one of the things I really had to think through in terms of storage was what to hide away and what to display. So while this room isn't that small, like for reference, if you can't really tell, it is the size of a dining room. Like you could probably fit a full dining room table. So in terms of office spaces, it's pretty spacious. But in terms of like fitting everything that I wanted to fit in this space, I really had to go vertical and make use of the vertical space so that everything could squeeze in. So going vertical was key to fitting all the necessary elements without it feeling crowded. The way to do this is by using exposed storage, like the pegboard behind me, the open shelving over here, using that as a decor element, but it also makes everything easy to find because it's out in plain sight. You don't have to go digging through drawers to find it. So this strategy works perfectly in a creative space like this where stimulation is welcome. Like, I want to be active in this space, I want to be engaged, and all the visual stimulation is fine. In spaces like a bedroom, like a living space, having everything out in the open isn't as ideal. So in those kind of spaces, you're gonna really want to be careful in terms of putting storage out in the open because things can start to look cluttered. So one key to like open shelving, open storage type situations is to, when you have decor elements, go for larger scale pieces. If you have a bunch of like little tiny small things, it just looks busy and it just looks cluttered. But if you can kind of pick some large items and some good contrast, that's what's gonna help you kind of design a space that looks cohesive, where you have stuff out in the open, but it's not like little trinkets everywhere. That's when it starts looking like that weird collectible closet at your grandma's house. I don't know if yours had one, but it's like a window closet just filled with like tiny trinkets and figurines. That's not what you want. Okay, let's talk more about color because you know I love my color. So I already talked about kind of ways to anchor and balance color, but in terms of the palette for this space, it was very pink and yellow. Those are like my two main colors in terms of my brand, so I wanted them to be very prominent. I anchored them with a neutral to give them a more sophisticated look. But my other tip for using color in your design is to make sure that you repeat pops of color throughout the room. That's gonna carry those pops of color throughout the space, and repeating them in different areas of the room helps your design look cohesive, look pulled together, and look complete. So if you have just one pop of color in your room, your eye's immediately gonna be drawn to that pop of color. So you wanna use multiple pieces. I would say at least 3 of the same pop of color spread throughout the space. That's gonna guide your eye around the space and help it kind of move around and see all there is versus like honing in on one specific area. So make sure to repeat those pops of color. That's like color 101 is anchor with neutrals, add greenery, and then repeat the same color in the space. Don't just do it one time. So if you look around here, you can see a lot of pops of pink and then a lot of pops of yellow. Obviously the large elements are the pink curtains, and then the yellow stools are kind of my biggest color pieces, and then there's a lot of little accent pieces that tie it in as you look around the room. And you also want to do that with your greenery. You want to repeat it throughout the room. You don't want just one piece of greenery. That's not going to really give you the balance that you want. So I have a lot of different greenery at different levels. So I have like a floor plant, a table plant, and then in the corner I have like a strip of boxwood panels, which kind of brings the greenery and brings your eye up. And then I have a couple other pieces on up high on shelving. It kind of guides your eye around, it carries the greenery through the space, and it makes that feel balanced as well. Let's talk patterns. So I'm a self-declared color and prints enthusiast. I love patterns and prints. I really just have to resist putting them everywhere, but in this space I was able to get away with 2 accent walls. And in this design, my use of pattern is almost exclusively black and white. And that is my strategy for getting away with multiple different patterns in a room without it feeling overwhelming or without the patterns competing with each other. When pairing patterns, contrast is your friend. So I have these big bold stripes, and then on this wall I have more like small abstract dots. And because they're so different, this is like geometric and structured, this is more like natural vibe, like abstract flowy. That allows them to work together to kind of create a vibe in the space versus like directly competing for attention. So they're really contrasted because this is a really big scale, really geometric, that is really small scale. But because they're both black and white, they don't really compete with each other. One of the reasons I did this in this space is because I wanted different backdrops to shoot products, to shoot content. So that's kind of why I did 2 accent walls. If you don't like the busier look and you want to do just one accent wall, that totally makes sense. But if you want to have multiple accent walls and you want them to coordinate and not compete, go black and white or go like really neutral, and then pick patterns that have good contrast so they kind of complement each other and they're not like one geometric pattern over here and then like a slightly different geometric pattern over there, and they're like, they're equal, and like, which one do I look at, kind of thing. Another thing I made sure to consider was having no stuffy storage. So my key to great storage is variety. So like, while a uniform storage system is really practical, it lacks like personality and interest. Like, I don't want just all rectangular things that are the same size. That looks boring to me. And I think it needs more visual interest than that to make a space feel kind of cozy and like it has personality. So I incorporated a bunch of different storage solutions so that it feels kind of eclectic, kind of like it has a ton of personality, but there's literally storage everywhere you look. Like, we have a wall of storage here, a big cabinet over there, storage under the desk, storage under the printers, open storage over there. Like, every wall has a ton of storage, but because they're all differently shaped pieces, they're not all rectangular situations, it's a lot of interest, and it just makes it part of the decor. So while I'm stashing stuff everywhere, it doesn't really feel like that. The space feels less crowded and less busy. Okay, so my best tips for storage solutions that have personality, that aren't just like all the same shape and size, is number one, to try to stay away from squares and rectangles. So obviously a lot of storage solutions come in a square and rectangle shape, but adding in other shapes and other elements is what's gonna help you break that up visually and make it more interesting. So for example, if you have like a cube storage thing, you could get round baskets. You could have a shelf with some foliage and some other interesting elements versus just straight up rectangular bins, because that makes it very boxy and not that interesting. Adding in these other shapes is gonna help maintain visual variety and keep it looking interesting. My second tip is to go for texture. So mix in a variety of boxes and bins, from metal pails to woven baskets to wire baskets. Get a lot of texture, because that texture is gonna break the uniformity of like a single shelf row situation and make it look more interesting and draw your eye around the room. So this is another thing that you want to repeat throughout the space. So if you have a woven texture, you want that multiple places in the space. If you have a wire basket, same kind of thing, because then it's not just like all thrown together random things. It looks like there was a plan, and it looks like the space is cohesive. Okay, so time for the big reveal. Here's what my office looked like before. And here is what the space looks like now. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a like, just hit that little thumbs up down below, and then hit that subscribe button so you're in the loop when I publish new content.
Home, home, just wanna go home, home, back home. I've been going for way too long. Home, home, just wanna